Y'all. Welcome back to part two of how the trade landed. And so, as you can see, we really struggled a bit, honestly, over here. I'm on the 1 hour, but I'm going to show you this trade. It really kind of struggled a bit. We hit that 4 hour range that was already happening over here, and we kind of got stuck and we kept kind of coming down here. So there was really a fight that was happening here. So that was a really, really, really tough range that we eventually conquered, but now we're kind of getting under that range again, and we have about an hour left. So what would cause me to say this is a reversal is if price cannot get above here and our red is closed. So last night when I left this trade running, these candles were turning red during that 4 hour span, but they weren't ending red. That is the key to if that new high is now permanent. So what do I mean by landing red? So during this whole entire trade here, these candles here, let me turn off. These candles were really fighting. It would be red at one point, then it would be green. It would be red at one point, then it would be green. Now, that wasn't scaring me because example, let's say this candle would technically, if it would have ended red, it would have been lower than this high would have been lower than that high. So then our PTOU is invalid. But it didn't end red, it ended green. So I knew we were still in the running. We were just really having a lot of struggle. So then when this candle came, same thing. If you look at it, we were like fighting. But I still wasn't convinced that this candle was, something that we couldn't do. So when I woke up this morning, I'm like, we're still fighting here. We can't say that this high is not higher than the last high until it doesn't finish that way. And so price still end up at this point, we were still in the running to make our higher high. And as you can see, what did this fourth candle do? We went higher than the last high. Now, is it the distance that we thought it was going to do in that 1 hour? No, but it's because we really had a fight there. And so we did hit that first target. We hit it. We hit that first target, which was right about here, which is why I like to measure and do our 3 targets just as a way for you to say, hey, if it gets to that first target and you like it, it's cool. Let it go. And honestly, even if like over here, the trade got super close to that first target. So even here, I could have took profit. That was a good profit to take. But I just wanted to see this trade through so that you guys can see how it eventually plays out. And so price made this higher high on the 4 hour. It's not the full distance that we thought it would get to, but that's why we have 3 targets. We have this first one, we have the second one, which if I had been watching this, I would have took profit here because we got pretty close to the second target. So taking profit there would have still been a really good profit. That would have been 3,400. So I could have said, let's take profit there, and I could have been okay with it. So something to keep in mind when the whole purpose of PTOU and PTOD is not so you can get in the trade and ride the whole trade. You're getting in the trade because it's allowing you to get a clean entry point. And then now your profit opportunity is what you need. Not let me hold it because I measured it to this point and it's going to get that to that point. If your profit is something you like before it hits that measuring point, go ahead and take it. The whole purpose of understanding these strategies is not so you have to see the whole moves through. It's so that you can get a point of entry to make money. And then taking profit doesn't have to be the full move because you may get in at that entry point and after a few pips, boom, you hit your goal for the day. You're done with the trade. Yeah, the trade may still run. Who cares? The whole purpose of understanding this strategy is so that you have a clean entry point to get to the point you need, not what the market's going to do, because at the end of the day, the market's going to market. So we don't want to put all our eggs in the basket and it reverses. So the moment it hit this first target, and that target was enough for you, and even as you saw it going closer to the second target, don't wait. Oh, it's going to get to the second target. I'm going to wait because I can just make more money. No, take your profit, go, because you built this trade and you created the best opportunity for you to make money. So what the market is giving you, you take it. Because remember, with PTOU and PTOD, you have so much opportunity to get back in another trade. So this is where we stack and compound. You take your profit and then you get in on the next low chain. So once price, which we haven't made this low here, so then once price, this next candle starts, and let's say this next candle might spruce up a little bit and eventually ends red, and it ends red here. Once price comes down here and it gives us a red candle, it is now entry for the next opportunity. You see what I'm saying? So you're not overly trying to hold unless you've made a decision you want to hold for the entire move. Then at that point, you're taking a chance at a reversal as well, you know? As I just wanted to come back and update you guys on the part 2 to show you that our target 1 hit, which if you remember how we got that target, we went over to our 1 hour because our 4 hour didn't give us 2 points. Now we have 2 points. If you come in the market and you have 2 points, which means 1, 2, and then you have 2 on the low chain, you now have a opportunity for a setup. We didn't have that. All of this didn't exist when we came in the market, but we knew that PTOU was happening because we had this lower low here. So whenever it's not, you know, whenever you can't see it clearly on the 4 hour, you can easily go on the 1 hour. And that's what we did here. We measured this high to kind of determine our next high. And so once we did that measure and we had our tool go above here, we did our 1 point, which is at the bottom, second point, and our third point. And so we hit our first target, which is really good. And now this trade is completely valid and we're going to close and end and profit. Yay, we did it. Now, I'm pretty sure that price will make this low at some point, but the purpose of me doing that was just to show you how these trades play out. Like I said, it really had a struggle here, and this low key kind of came into accumulation, but we continue to make higher lows. So price was moving out of that accumulation. So let's just say you came in the market and you wasn't on anything. You wasn't on PTOU, PTOD, nothing. And you came in and you saw this. You could have just treated that as accumulation for an entry point into the next move, but still followed the pattern of PTOU here. Because let's say you got in and you're like, oh, I want to get in this, but it was already going. You could have still did your markups here, but utilize the 1 hour for this accumulation to find an entry point, which would have been right here. And then you could have entered for that small win as well. All right, guys. So at this point, you should fully understand how to use PTOU and PTOD. Obviously, we're using it on PTOU because that is the current trend. When there is a PTOD, I would definitely come and do another example so that you can see how following these rules, following these steps, make these trades valid. Now, if you are trading this in real time, like I said, it did, this trade started to go up and down, up and down, up and down, but that's because this is what you had happening on the 1 hour. But it doesn't matter because we were still climbing up this ladder. So you always want to go to these time frames and make sure is price, yes, price is getting lower, but are we consistently climbing? And we were consistently climbing, climbing, climbing. And even if you go on the 5 minute, I'm sure the 5 minute would have show that we are still moving upward, which is why sometimes those lines are important, because the lines, even though it's like not fully like moving up like this, we're still having a slow climb up, and that's what you wanna see. You wanna see that price is still slowly climbing up. Guys, if this video was amazing to you, I would love to hear your review about watching the PTOU happen on part 1 and part 2. Alright, guys, let's keep building.